Sometimes parents ask me, what do I do when my child puts objects in his mouth? Maybe it will be bad for my child if he sucks on objects. And this is an important concept to understand. All babies put anything that they can reach in their mouth, which is why it's the adult's responsibility to maintain a safe and healthy learning environment, so that everything that is available to an infant, it's safe for them to put in their mouth. Now, when I work with a child who's 4 years old and still wants to put toys in his mouth, there are two things that I know are going on. Either intellectual disability, or when he was little, parents saying, don't put that in your mouth, don't put that in your mouth, don't put that in your mouth, over and over and over again. So just the other day, I was working with a child who's 4 years old, and it was interesting how he would have a puzzle, pick up the puzzle piece, put it in his mouth, suck on it for a moment, and then put it in its place. Then pick up the next puzzle piece, look at it, put it in his mouth, and then put it in its place. This is clearly an indication that during infancy, the child was told to stop putting things in his mouth, stop putting his hands in his mouth. And that reinforces, as the child gets older, an obsessive compulsive tendency for oral gratification. So it just becomes a habit. And all we have to do is not reinforce it. And eventually it'll go away. Now, it's important to understand that that is why there are so many people in the world who smoke cigarettes, because that's just the adult version of putting toys in your mouth when you're a child. So if we don't want our children to grow up to smoke cigarettes, then it's prudent to not tell them to take things out of their mouth when they're babies, because they're just exploring the world in the way that babies explore the world, by actively touching objects, manipulating the object in the most primal form that they have, orally, to see, is this food or not food? Oh, this is not food. Okay, now I know it's not food. And then they'll use it in some other way. So it's crucial that we understand that if a child has an oral fixation for wanting to put objects in his mouth, this is usually a sign of the parents, when he or she was younger, telling him, stop putting your fingers in your mouth. Take that out of your mouth. Don't put that in your mouth. It's dangerous. And this is actually called positive reinforcement for the child wanting to do it more and more and more and more. So to avoid that, we have to understand that adults not reinforcing any behavior we don't want is the best alternative to saying, no, take that out of your mouth. And not reinforcing means ignoring what the child is doing. However, we need to make sure that the objects that the child is mouthing are not objects that in any way can harm him or her. If it is an object that's harmful in any way, well then we are not doing a good enough job of child-proofing the environment. Take everything out of the environment that can harm a child if he happens to put it in his mouth. Thank you for listening.